Hi guys, we have a 2016 GLS AMG 63, and as you can see by the caliper, the size of the rotor, these are pretty powerful brakes. So we are doing a brake job, or the front rotors and pads. These are not that bad actually if you do only the pads, but unfortunately you cannot do this on these German vehicles because the rotors are softer than like American and Japanese cars, and as you can see there's a ridge here, so this rotor is already done, so it has to be replaced with the pads. No matter where the pads or the rotor or the condition of these two is, you have to replace both of them no matter what. Somebody tells you a different thing, they can argue with you all day and all night long. This is the way it is. You replace pads and you replace the rotors altogether. So the pads actually are not that bad. They're held by these pins here, and you have to push the pin out here through this pin. And in this case they actually added another thing here, is a 13mm bolt. So I'm gonna take these three first to take the pads out, and then in order to change the rotor we have to pull the caliper out, and the way you pull it is through these two Allens. So the caliper comes out because it's held here by these. I think these are 19s or 20s, but I won't touch these because we don't need these. We have these 10mm Allens here, and it's this thing here, 10mm. And the way you take these pins out, I use a screwdriver. It has to be small enough to get through the hole here and basically push these pins out. I'm also use a little hammer just to kind of get it out. Once you get it here, you can actually almost pull it out. Remember, before you install these, you need to clean these. I clean them with a metal brush, and I kind of just smudge them a little bit with grease, just so they can go back easier, and not give you actually any problems. So this is what comes out. Make sure you remember how you take this out so you don't put it in the wrong direction. It looks like this pressure plate here is on the top. Again, these came out with the locking mechanism on the inside, the locking washer, whatever it is. So these I'm gonna get cleaned. I'm gonna leave this here the way it came out. And piece of advice, so you don't end up with a lot of problems, these are 3, so it's 6 piston caliper. So in order to save your time, troubles and all this stuff, I would press these calipers right now back to the 0 setting by using screwdrivers inside between the rotor and the brake pads on both sides, and I'll press them out. This will save you an enormous time and enormous efforts. You're throwing both of these away, so it won't matter what you do to them. Okay, this is going to be the best way if you're just doing it by yourself. You don't have any crazy special tools, this and that. We have some tools to press them out, but I don't think they're going to fit all these 6 calipers. We have them for smaller versions. Okay, but this would be your easiest way. So the way I'm gonna press these out, you can grab a bunch of flathead screwdrivers, because you need to get in here. You see there's this empty space right here, and you can use this one here, and all you do is just press slowly. Remember, don't press fast or hard, you just press slowly, so you give enough time for the calipers to start to go back. Then you go inside and you keep pressing until they release. You see, it's just that, it's that easy. There's nothing hard to it. And then we can stick some bigger ones here, and you can keep pressing. And again, the same thing. You just keep pressing until they release. Once they release on one side here, you see they're back to 0 here, but they're still out here because remember, this is a two-side caliper, so they press on both sides. So once you do this here, you put something big enough to actually lock it. So these won't go out, because when you start pressing these, they will push the liquid over on the other chamber. And the way you do this, you start pressing on this side slowly and precise, slowly and precise until they push, and then you keep pushing more and just more, and you can do the two sides here to get him back to 0. You can do this on every car when you do these brake changes. If you're changing the caliper and the brake pads, you can do this, no big deal. Okay, so as you can see, now the calipers are back to 0. See, everything is back to 0. We take this one out, and you see the calipers are back to 0. They're flush. Once they're flush with the surface, this is 0 point. So this is it. We'll keep going. Okay, the last step to open the space so we can remove the brake pads is this thing here. I just used the hammer and this flat screwdriver to get this pin out, and you can see it's coming out. You just need to push it. Oh, remember, there was this 13 bolt that was holding on the inside right here. It goes into this hole. So anyway, I need my 2 hands, but I just used just make sure you don't hit it on the inside to mess up the hole with the threads. So you get the point. You just use a screwdriver or something else. You can use whatever you want, or Allen, whatever, just to push it out, and it'll come out, going out to the left. Okay, so just to show you, through the hole, a hammer and a screwdriver, and there we go. Just to show you, this is the way. I just used a hammer and a flat screwdriver, and it goes through this hole. You just bump it. Again, remember to clean this on a metal brush, because this will be hard to get back in. As you can see, it's not going back in that easy. You need to clean this brake dust or dirt or whatever it is in order to get it back in, and I will just put a little bit of smudge of grease so that it helps you to go back in. And the way you get these brake pads, you just pull them out. Make sure they have these crazy metal pieces like a stopper or something. Make sure when you take them out, I usually leave them the way they came out, just in case when I install the new ones I don't make a mistake. So I'll take them out, I'll leave them like this, and then you pull the next one out. Here it is. Original Mercedes parts. So the calipers are set back to 0, everything is fine. All we need to do is take these two to release the caliper and be ready to use a bungee cord to get the caliper somewhere situated here. So I got a bungee cord here, and we're going to use a power tool to get these out because it's just easier to do it. And as you can see, the caliper is already out. It's actually very light. Wow. Okay, I think it's an aluminum, and you can use these holes here and just set it on the side so it doesn't put pressure on the brake line. And then you can twist, well, actually it's still here. The brake rotor has a T30 right here. It's a T30 bolt that holds the rotor, and we're gonna get this T30 out. Here's a T30. No, it looks like it's no, it's a T27. It's a T27. A piece of advice: don't use the little ratchets at a 90 degree angle, because you're risking this. When you do it at an angle, you're risking of stripping the torques. I always use a tool that keeps the force forward in one direction, so it'll spin and open it. And this is what I'm using. I'm using an adapter to use this Robbie electrical ratchet, and there we go. It comes out easy. Actually, it's not 27, it's T30. I know it's T30. Yes, it's T30. It's just very old and it doesn't want to fit, but it is T30. Anyway, the rotor is loose, it's out, and I think somebody had anti-seize on the inside. Yeah, it looks like they had installed or smudged anti-seize. That's why everything came out so easy. And a huge recommendation: you can actually use a metal brush to take this out, because it'll help you to install the new one right here. And also this is sometimes this helps with the installation of the wheels right here, this rust. So I'm gonna hit all of this with a metal brush. Also, look at the threads on the lug bolts. I mean, you have to use anti-seize. This is bad. And that's the condition of the bolts, the threads. This is the anti-seize that I use. It's called Permatex anti-seize lubricant. It has like lithium grayish color right here. That's what we're going to use. Remember, the extra touch makes the job right. So that's what we're gonna do. But before that, I'm gonna hit it with the metal brush right here. So here's the next step. This is what this thing looks like. It has, I think, lithium. I don't know what else. I think it has aluminum or something. That's what it looks like. These kind of strange, kind of silverish particles. But you put a little bit just all over the place, and make sure you put it inside the threads so you help the hook bolts to work properly. And this, when you do this, actually you help yourself, because the rotor came out very easy because somebody else did the job right before that, and I think it was us that did this brake job before the previous brake job. And otherwise, if they hadn't done that, the rotor, you have to use a hammer to get the rotor out, because they get glued because of the rust in the back. So everything good, properly smudged and spread. Cool. So this is it here. The new rotor is good to go. Make sure you follow the directions of the rotor. This one is with these slots pointing back. Make sure when you install it, you clean your gloves and use plenty of brake cleaner so there's nothing left on the surface of the rotor. Okay, I just brought this disc. Make sure you clean it when you get it out of the box, because the plastic wrapping may have oil on the inside. So you clean it before you bring it in. I'll clean it several more times before the final release. But this is a heavy rotor, and at least it has a pretty good guidance system to where to put it. It has these two guides here, and then the bolt or the locking nut or bolt is here, the T30. And I'm going to install the locking bolt here. You start it easy and not too tight, just a little bit of smudge. Okay, it's out, it's not destroyed, everything is fine, and as you can see, it's locked in. Okay, that's a heavy rotor. Okay, so the next step is, the best thing would be for us to actually clean this caliper on the inside. So I'm gonna move this back again to show you, and I'm gonna use some brake cleaner.
sit down on the video. She has to pick out the truck around lunchtime.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now we install the caliper back in, and we need to put the Allen, the 2 Allens. So here are the 2 Allens that go into the holes, the mounting brackets on the top and bottom. So this right here, okay, everything is tight. Next step is the brake pads. I wanted to tell you that the actual brand of the rotors is this company called Zimmermann right here, and these are made in Germany. This is probably the best brand that you can use besides the original Mercedes parts. It's up to you. Due to customer request, we're using these here, and now we're ready to install the brake pads. Sometimes they have a direction pinpointing which way they go. In this case they don't. All I can see is this is the same place where the old one was, this sensor here and this one here. Most likely these brakes will probably have a sensor on the other side because they don't have it here. And since we got everything pulled back with the calipers, the caliper pistons, everything is easy to go in, so they're mounted. Next step is the bolt, or this central one, and again we have to clean this on a metal brush and just smudge it a little bit with grease. As you can see, we cleaned it up. Actually, this used to be painted green just like the caliper, but with time the paint is chipping off, so it doesn't matter. You just need to clean these metal 2 parts that go in. I also put a little bit of grease just to help myself, and it goes on the left side. You see, now I can actually put it with my hand. This thing has a vertical cutouts where it actually goes in and it stops. So actually look, I just did it by hand. This is all it took to fix the problem. We needed to use a hammer in the beginning. That's what I'm gonna do. Actually, let me clean this a little bit because I think it has a little bit too much grease. It's too close to the brake pads. I don't want this to melt and contaminate the brake pad, so I'm just gonna clean it. I think whatever we have on it is already good. It's already slippery, so it'll go in. And remember, these slots here are vertical, and you just get a sheet. That's it. You just went in straight in. So make sure you clean the grease, because you don't want this grease to end up in the brake pad. It's too close to the brake pads. You never want to have grease and brake pads. They don't mix. And okay, we need the 13. So we're gonna get into style 13. This is a 13 millimeter. Okay, you get it tight, that's it. And the next thing is the metal plate. So the metal plate, this ideally should be also cleaned to get the brake dust out, but yeah, I'm just going to clean it a little bit. So again, don't forget to clean these pins. I mean, look at the difference in the, look at the difference. This is with the rust and the whatever, the dirt or oxidation. This is when you clean them up. They're just like brand new. And just put, again, just smudge a little bit of grease so you can get them in easily. Don't worry about it. These are not going to come out. They have this locking washers here, so they'll help them to stay in. Just clean both of them. So I cleaned this one so it's better looking. Remember, it goes like this and it presses both of the brake pads. And remember, you're gonna have to put some force into these. I'm gonna smudge them with a little bit of grease so they can go easier in. Just a little bit of grease, nothing crazy, and you can push one first, and this is just the way they go. They fit in these slots here on the top and bottom, and make sure you guide them to go straight into the holes. Okay, you see they actually went in just by hand. I didn't need to use a hammer to get it through. This is the difference when you actually clean these. And again, here on the top, make sure the brake pad is aligned with the hole. So it goes here and it goes into this slot. Here I'm gonna have to use a little bit of force because you actually have to guide this one, and you see this is because of this pressure now that we created. And all you do is just you make sure that they go inside here, because this is where the locking mechanism stops, and you'll see a little bit of the nipple coming out, little of the end, the sharper end coming out through the side. And you can try with the round tip just to make sure, but this is it. This is installed and this is ready. So this is the left caliper. The procedure on the right side is the same, of course, but it should have a sensor that goes in and clicks into the wiring harness. I'll see if it has one. It should have one, and then I'll show you with the sensor, the procedure with the sensor. Make sure you clean this rotor before installation, brake cleaner, and do not take this gray paint off the rotor. Never take it off, because this helps with the breaking in of the new brake pads with the rotor, and also it will help with the installation of the wheel so that the wheel doesn't get stuck to the water because of rust, because this paint will help with this. We already have some anti-seize here. You don't need to put any more. We already have the anti-seize inside the thread, so that will help with the installation of the bolts. And in order to help yourself, because this wheel is very heavy, use this guide here, this guide pin, and install it in the hole and leave it there. Then you lift up the wheel, make sure the top bolt will fit in. So you got it in, that's it, and it's ready to go. I'm not gonna smudge any more anti-seize because we already have some inside. And now we're just going to install these. It's good to just start it first slowly, just to make sure that they're in the hole. Don't get them tight yet. Just start them up slowly. 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 And now you can take it off and install the last one. And this is it on this side. Okay guys, the right side is, everything is the same as on the left side. The only difference is this little brake pad sensor, and it just comes out from this plug here, and it's actually kind of stuck in this here in the brake pad slot, and that's the old one. It's already touching, that's why it triggered the brake wear light. And this is the new sensor, and what you do is you take it out, you take the new one out, and remember, this is the part that goes inside touching the rotor, not this flat one. The flat one goes here, that's the one that touches the rotor. And the way you do it, it has these metal pins that they'll help you to get it stuck. You just push it all the way in, and part of my glove got stuck there, so this is the way it goes. You just push it in, it locks in, you can see everything is fine. So that's the only difference, everything else is still the same. And remember, when you get in the car, press the pedal very slowly to let the system actually push the caliper slowly to get out and get at the space where it's supposed to be at, pressing the brake pads. So again, this was a complete brake job of a 2016 GLS or GLS 63 MG front brake job. The rear is a little bit different case, but it is an AMG, and it has a different setup from the normal GLS models because of the 6-piston caliper, so the parts are different. And if you have any questions, feel free to post in the comments. Again, thanks for watching, and please subscribe. Thank you.